Hello everyone and welcome back to another single button guide for the Retribution Paladin. This is the fast edition where we're gonna try explain the entire rotation, the stats, the talents in less than 10 minutes. In case you want a way longer video that goes way more in depth, I also have that link in the description. That one is it's more than an hour, but that one is like a full complete guide where this one here is just a quick one. But as you can see in the top, in this video here, we're just going to talk about stats, talents, rotation, and that's basically it. And we're going to try and keep it under 10 minutes to go through how to be a Retribution Paladin best as possible with the single button assistant. And again, if you want a way more advanced guide, I have a longer one in the description. But let's go ahead. So let's talk about stats. First of all, you should always go with the highest upgrade level / eye level. So what I mean by that is, for example, you can see here, my hands here is upgrade level champion. That means I would never pick other hands if they are not champion, hero, or myth. You can see over here on the right side, I would never go to an explorer, adventure, or veteran. It's simply too much of an eye level lose, and I would lose way too much strength, which will basically increases all the damage you do. So that means if I got another couple of hands, which was the same upgrade level as my hands, which is champion, then I would start looking at the secondary stats. But if I got an item which was higher upgrade level, like a hero item, then I wouldn't even look at the secondary stats, I would just equip it ASAP. Then, of course, if you have two items which is the same upgrade level, like champion, now we then look at the secondary stats. First of all, we have mastery. Mastery is just omega for rich paladins right now. It increases basically all your damage, and it's just really, really good right now. So you should just always, like, number one, go with the a lot of mastery. Secondary, we have Critical Strike. This build, the Retribution Paladin, especially when you play with Templar, as you can see we're using Templar build, it's such like a burst build. So crit is just so good with the burst we do. As well, we have this talent here saying, when Empyrean Hammer critical strikes, 100% of its damage is dealt to nearby enemies. So basically, we are summoning Empyrean Hammers all the time with this build here, with the Templar one. And then whenever they actually crit, they deal damage to everyone around them, which is insane. So this is so good, especially for like a dungeon mythic plus delve build and so on. Then we have haste. Haste basically makes our global cooldown shorter. Global cooldown shorter. It actually makes our cooldown shorter as well. You can actually go into the spell book and look at spells. The one with a green cooldown means they actually get reduced cooldown by haste. So it reduces the global cooldown, which is already punished by using single button assistant by 25%. So by having more haste, we can kind of combat that. It makes cooldowns shorter on spells. It just makes the entire rotation faster. It's just really, really a good stat. Normally, I would recommend haste as number one when it comes to single button assistant, but mastery and crit in this case here with Retribution Paladin is just so omega. And then we have versatility at the end. Versatility is just basically giving you flat more damage and reduces the damage you take. It's nice if you want to be like a bit more tanky, like if you want to do like a lot of solo content, then you can go for more versatility, but else I wouldn't recommend it too much. Then we got the talents. We are basically using the Templar build for the dungeon. So basically I have a dungeon build and I have a raid build. The dungeon build here, as you can see here, is very focused on dealing AoE damage to everyone around you. So when you go into dungeon, delves, leveling, basically any content that is not raid, this build here is just omega for the single button assistant. It's very close to the meta, like the meta builds out there, but still it's such a good like AoE build. We also have the raid build, which is also using Templar, because Templar is just so mega right now. But this build here is very more focused on getting like damage out like to boss, like, you know, a raid boss, like just bosses. So again, the dungeon build is for like damaging everyone around you as best as possible, where the raid build is all about dealing most damage as possible to the current target you're facing. So both the builds, the dungeon build and the raid build, can be found on my Discord. There's an export string that you can basically just go here and say import, and then you can get them in both. And you should easily switch between them, and both builds are using the same spells. So you can see we don't even change like around. Oh, the only thing is like the dungeon build has cleans and a mass stun. So that's the main difference. That That the dungeon build has a mass interrupt spell and cleans to help your team to, like, cleans in case in a dungeon, and the raid build doesn't use those because you not really need them in the raid. When it comes to the rotation, it's very simple. Other classes, when they use single button assistant, they actually have to use cooldowns or other spells at the same time with the single button assistant. But the Retribution Paladin is so easy. You literally just have to press 1 all the time. That's the entire thing. Frost mages, they have to press 3 buttons. Other classes, many other classes I've made guides for, they have to press 3 different buttons together with the single button assistant. But the Retribution Paladin has everything inside it, so it is so easy and so simple. Basically, it uses these spells here. It will use Blade of Justice, Crusading Strike, Divine Hammer, Divine Storm, Divine Toll, Execution Sense, Final Verdict, Hammer of Wrath, Judgment, and Wake of Ashes. It will always try to use the cooldowns first. When there is a single target, it will only use the single target ability. That makes sense. When there's more than 2 or 3 mobs, it will start using, for example, AoE spells. It will automatically pick between what is best to use, Final Verdict or Divine Storm. So it automatically knows for you what should I be using, this spell, this spell. But very simple rotation, and very nicely with the Retribution Paladin is we have a self heal, Word of Glory. So when you have free holy power, like these holy power here, you can cast a Word of Glory to heal yourself. We also have Flash of Light to heal ourselves. We have Cleans to remove poison and diseases. We have Interrupt on number 5, so help your team and interrupt. In that way, people is not going to get mad at you. So using number 5 to interrupt. Number 6 to get on Divine Steed, so get to faster location. Very nice. We also got Blessing of Freedom, which basically helps you to, get out of situations if you're rooted or snared, or, any movement impairing. We also got Blessing of Sacrifice in case one of our teammates is getting a lot of damage. You can kind of help them to take less damage. We also have Blessing of Protection, which basically is kind of like a light bubble. It just takes all physical damage. We also have Shield of Vengeance. That one is actually a great spell to use because it absorbs damage, and then when it's finished absorbing, it will basically burst damage back to the enemy. So if a boss is doing a lot of AoE damage, it's actually very nice to use Shield of Vengeance because it can actually increase your damage in the damage meter as well. And we have Divine Protection, which reduce all damage by 20. We also have Divine Shield, which is our big bubble that for 8 seconds you cannot die. You're basically like godlike for 8 seconds. Then we have a stun, the normal stun, let me just the normal stun here, Hammer of Justice, where you can stun one target. And we also have the AoE stun from Blinding Light. So number 5 should be used on a target, a boss or something like that is trying to cast a spell. This one here, Hammer of Justice, is for mobs, like not bosses, but mobs that is casting spells you want to interrupt. And the Blinding Light is to interrupt like a lot of mobs at the same time if they're casting stuff they shouldn't be casting. Then beside of that, we also have Intercessions, which is basically your combat rest, so you can rest people from dead in combat, which is really cool. And you also have Lay on Hands, which will heal someone with the same amount of healing you have. So basically 9.7 million healing, because that's what I have. And then I recommend usually just to stay inside Devotion Aura to basically give everyone 3% less damage. So that's it. That's basically the Retribution Paladin. That's the entire Retribution Paladin. That was the stats. Let's just bring it up here. That was the stats. That was the wrong agenda. That was for the long video I have. That was the stats, the talent, and the rotation. So again, go to my Discord. You can find the builds over there, the UI. Everything you need is over there in the room called Single Button Assistant Retribution Paladin. But that was basically the guide. That is how you play Retribution Paladin with the single button assistance. It's so easy, it's so fun, massive damage, massive self-healing, and it's so easy to help your team because you have so much overview, because you don't have to think about the rotation all the time. In case you want to learn way more about this spec here and what is actually happening behind the scenes, you can watch my long guide, which will explain way more details to you. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you all for watching my guides that I'm doing for the single button assistant. Peace out.